giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Oh, good morning, good people of Cowboys Nation. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Today's show is presented by Texas Family Fitness, Freeman Mazda Hyundai, and Worth the Poor in the colony of Texas. Boom! It is Tuesday, March 8th, and today we're going to talk about some of my top options in the first round, 5 of my top targets in the first round. Now, this is going to be a mixture of a bunch of different things. This is not a mock draft. This is not necessarily a top 5 players type of thing, and we'll discuss that with our draft analyst, Foots the King. Will be in the building here in a few minutes. And then in the roundup, we'll give some Cowboys updates on contracts. A whole bunch of contracts. We got cap talk, right? We got some extension talk, some signing talk, some restructure things happening around in Cowboys land. Got a little bit more cap yesterday, you know. And you know, when you get a little bit more cap, I feel like this is fitting. Cap boy, cap boy. Well, anytime you get a little bit more cap, that probably tickles Stephen Jones. So we'll talk about that in the roundup. But before we do all of that, appreciate you guys joining us this morning. Got a good show lined up. I love talking draft with Foots because this dude goes in it like not too many people I know. So we'll get into that. He has a 5-round mock draft that we'll talk about later. And for me, it's just strictly dealing with first-round picks. I got 5 guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 guys that I think the Cowboys could be zeroing in on or should be zeroing in on. I don't know that all of them may be there at 24, but that's not really what this is about. It's a mixture of, like I said. But before we do all of that, man. Yes, Jacob. I do know Stone Cold is coming to Dallas. Unfortunately, I don't think I told you guys, but I will be at WrestleMania. I don't think he'll be there the day I'm going. This is why I hate WrestleMania being 2 days. You don't get a chance to see everything. They put everything on the second day. I'm going to the first day. I'm a little pissed off about that. But nonetheless, Stone Cold will be there, I believe, on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. But that's not what we want to start today's show off with before we get into the roundup. Apparently, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new Pete Rose. And I want to start off today's show with a little bit of congratulations. You played yourself. Y'all saw the update yesterday, correct? I'm pretty sure you did. If you didn't, we'll give you a little update on what happened yesterday with one Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley has been suspended for an entire season, 1 whole damn year, for betting on the NFL, including his team. And here's what Adam Schefter had to say, and there's a lot that goes into this in regards to Calvin Ridley. NFL determined that Calvin Ridley placed a multi-leg parlay bets involving 3, 5, and 8 games that included the Falcons to win per source. Investigations determined there was no involvement for any team, players, coach, etc. He placed these bets on his mobile device out of the state. And I looked into some of the details, and apparently he used his phone in Florida. And I guess this organization that he bet with, they have a partnership with the NFL. They essentially told the NFL, traced it back to one Calvin Ridley. And all I got to say, sir, is
congratulations. You played yourself.
You played yourself. You played yourself. Now, listen, a year is, that's a long time. However, I understand it, though, right? Like, I understand it. It kind of feels hypocritical where the NFL is big on betting. Like, in fact, betting is probably the biggest thing about the NFL. That's how you get a lot of these casual fans. They're going to bet on these games, right? You got fantasy and all that stuff. So why not let the players involved? Well, you start to get into the integrity of the game, and you don't want to turn into that, right? You don't want to have players betting on the teams they play for or their friends or associates of other teams, and it can get real weird. So I feel like this is one of those things where they came down hard on Calvin Ridley to set an example for the rest of the league. A year is a lot, man. I mean, especially when you look at, team or players don't get suspended for abuse, right? We've seen that. Like, players have gotten 4 games, 2 games, 3 games, 6 games for abuse, which I think is far worse than betting. However, I guess, money, when it comes to money, they don't play about that. So that's where we're at right now with Calvin Ridley. He definitely played himself by betting on his team. I'm not going to talk about the mental health aspect of it, because he did say that's why I needed to take a break. It's weird that you go and start betting on your team. Now, according to him, he had a whole bunch of tweets that said, hey, I only bet $1,500. I don't have a gambling problem, yada, yada, yada. Okay, Calvin. I'm not saying you have a gambling problem, but that, sir, you can't do that, man. At the very least, what did who was it? Chris Carter. You got to have a fall guy, right? Like, at the very least, you could be like, hey, bro, I'm going to give you this $1,500. I'm going to give you this $500, whatever it is. Bet that. Let me know what happens. Like, somebody close to you that you trust. Because don't think for a second this doesn't happen. I feel like this happens around the league. Calvin just happened to get caught. He wasn't smart, though. He wasn't smart. I think what you got to do is have a fall guy. And Calvin really didn't do that. But all right, let's get into this roundup right quick.
Look at them, it's about that time.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time. It's time.
It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Morning roundup presented by Texas Family Fitness. Strive for progress, not perfection. Fitness goals are not accomplished with one workout. Progress towards your goals with Texas Family Fitness. If you're looking to begin your fitness journey, head on over to any of these 9 locations in the DFW area or visit TexasFamilyFitness.com and let them know that Skywalker sent you and A to Z Sports sent you. First up, came out last night that Dak Prescott and Dak have restructured their deals, per Cowboys beat reporter Michael Gelkin. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott and Zach Martin are having their contracts restructured. For Martin, 2 voidable years are expected to be added, which maximizes the team's cap savings. I believe it's like an extra $1 million or something. This is all part of Cowboys numbers game as the new league year approaches, end quote, from Michael Gelkin. The restructures will add about $23 million in cap space, which will get the Cowboys under the cap. Again, these things, in my opinion, were obvious ones, especially the Dak Prescott. That was clear as day that was going to happen. About a week or so ago, we talked about 6 moves the Cowboys can make to get under the cap that keeps their players. Well, we know it's sounding like at least, unless a miracle happens, they'll look to move on from Cooper and DeMarcus Lawrence, so they'll get under the cap from that. But the other moves involved, one was Zach Martin. I don't expect this to be the final nail in the coffin in regards to restructures. You still have a few other players that you can do. One you hope is Ezekiel Elliott. I'm hoping they leave that one alone. But there are still about good 4 contracts they can mess with as they move forward. A few other things to note in regards to contracts and cap and all that good stuff. Today at 4 p.m. is the deadline for the franchise tag. 4 p.m. As of right now, just thinking about tight ends. Mike Gesicki was just given the franchise tag by the Miami Dolphins, so he's not going anywhere. Also, David Njoku was given the franchise tag by the Cleveland Browns. He's not going anywhere. And that one is really strange to me because they have Austin Hooper on the hook for about $9.5 million. And then you're going to allocate $11 million to David Njoku. You mean to tell me you're going to put $20 million towards the tight end position? That doesn't make any sense to me. Now, unless they turn into the Patriots when they had, they run a 2 tight ends situation, the 12 personnel, I guess. But that seems to be a bit extra, if you ask me, Cowboys Nation. As a Cowboy fan, I do not want to put the franchise tag on Schultz, but it sounds like that could be happening. That is the feeling around the team, and they have until 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern to do so. So I wonder if you'll see more restructures prior to that so the Cowboys can have enough money to A, tag him and use the $11 million towards that cap, as well as have enough money to sign a Randy Gregory, who I'm pretty sure they're trying to get under contract as we speak. And according to Cowboys insider Bobby Belt, J-Ron Curse. And that deserves a clue bomb, because that's the one. That should be priority number one. I mean, I can't believe Michael Gallup is your priority, which we'll get to in a second. J-Ron should be your priority, Cowboys Nation. Speaking of wide receivers, multiple sources, I missed this the other day, I believe from Todd Archer, believe that Cedric Wilson could be in line for a deal that averages anywhere between $6 to $8 million a year. That makes me think out loud, will that price him out of Dallas? Or are they okay with parlaying a Cedric Wilson, Michael Gallup tandem and get more of a 2-for-1, meaning they're going to cut Cooper and bring back these two guys for about the same price? Let's say this here. We'll get to Gallup's contract in a second, but Ced Wilson getting $6 to $8 million would be something the Cowboys don't usually do for a wide receiver 3. So this is something they feel real good about if Ced is back. He has a great relationship with Michael Gallup. We know that Ced has a good relationship with Dak Prescott on the field. But, again, if that's going to cost me somebody, I don't know how I feel about that. But if not, right, I guess run it all back here. But the only other time they've allocated $6 to $8 million to a wide receiver. Now, this isn't a free agent wide receiver. This isn't a guy from a different team, but it was Allen Hurns. He got 6 years. I'm sorry, he got 3 years at $6 million APY. Or was it 2 years? 2 years, I'm sorry. The next highest was Randall Cobb. So Cedric Wilson will fall kind of in line with that if you count inflation. For a guy of his caliber, I kind of put him in that mold, not necessarily a wide receiver 1 or 2, but a 3 or 4. And then you have Michael Gallup. Yesterday we talked about his contract projection, right? We said, that rumor about the 5 and 30 is just that was a silly rumor. I don't even know why that was brought to light. But the real projection was closer to $50 million total, and probably upwards of 30 or so million guaranteed. PFF had it at about $55 million in total over 4 years. I said 5 years is probably what they're going to look for, because that's what Stephen Jones wants out of his long-term contracts. So take a listen to Mike, I believe it's Garofalo, from NFL Network. He actually talked about the details of his contract.
Wide receiver is not on the list of Cowboys' needs, Andrew, and that's because they had 3 of them that are basically going to be free, because Amari Cooper, we're expecting that he is going to be released if they can't find a trade partner. So the other 2 they are hoping to retain. I do believe that in the near future, based on the conversations I have had with sources, they will come to an agreement with Michael Gallup to retain him. I know that they are confident that his ACL tear that he suffered was a clean one, so they believe medically he is going to be okay going forward, and that's why they are willing to make him very rich on a deal that I'm told could be a 5-year deal north of $10 million per season. So look for that to happen in the near future with the Cowboys and Gallup not to hit the free agent market. So that leaves Cedric Wilson, another guy that they believe that they can possibly retain. So you get 2 receivers for less than what you were supposed to pay Amari Cooper on that non-guaranteed money. So I believe that's how it's going to work out for the Cowboys. That's their priority in free.
So I'm not going to lie. I talked about this a few weeks ago. If Gallup was going to come back, I thought it was going to be on a 1 year-ish prove it type of deal. I did not see 5 years coming, especially 5 years over 10 million APY. But here we are. Here we are. Get your bag, Gallup. Get your bag. But I don't expect Gallup to be ready. Yesterday, we had a conversation with our resident doctor, Dr. Michael Boothby. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you do so. And we talked about his returns, his return timetable. And we're looking at August is what he said. And when I say he, I mean Michael Gallup's camp. 100% by August. That's what we were told. The doc said that would be a very tight window where everything would have to go perfectly. These things are normally between, he said today, about 8 to 10 months, I believe, is where they would give a fair timetable for somebody to be on the field. And if you look at the Cowboys players who have had these ACL injuries, all right, you're talking about Tristan Hill. He didn't get back till about midseason. And Blake Jarwin didn't see, I don't believe he got back until the very end of camp. So, and those guys tore their ACLs earlier in the season. So we'll see where Michael Gallup is at with this. So that was the morning roundup presented by Texas Family Fitness. Let's kind of briefly go back over it. Dak and Zach restructured their deals, right? Also, Jaron Kearse the Cowboys and Jaron Kearse are working on a contract, so that's really good news. I feel like he should have been priority number one. Dalton Schultz looks like he could be getting tagged. I mean, we knew on the open market he's going to get what these other guys get. That's just how the market works. So he could be tagged at roughly $11 million, and maybe they work on a long-term deal. I hope they do if that's the case, because I don't know if you want to hold that whole entire $11 million this year. You could use some of that money to go get better in free agency. I know. I'm just saying. And then Michael Gallup Michael Gallup is rumored to get anywhere upwards of 5 years north of $50 million. Question to you, Cowboys Nation. How would you feel about the Dallas Cowboys committing to a long-term deal of 5 years north of 50 mil and north of 10 million APY? How do you feel about that? As you guys answer that question, I'm going to tell you about the ride of the week this week. The 2022 Hyundai Santa Fe. Its price tag puts it in reach of a broad range of buyers, but it still offers plenty of features that the modern-day family will find desirable, such as heated seats, blind spot monitoring, heated exterior mirrors, Sirius XM satellite radio, and passive keyless entry with push to start. And I believe they also offer a hybrid version of this as well. But for more information, head on over to freemanmazda.net, and you can find out about the prices, the features, and much, much more. So how would y'all feel about Michael Gallup getting a 5-year deal after the ACL injury? About $50-some million. Adrian says Gallup, CD, Schultz, Zeke, and TP, not too bad. Not at all. Not at all. CFO, oh, that's my guy, Tuck. 5 years, and they'll build a loophole to get out. Absolutely. Absolutely. You listen, you know that for sure. They're not going to do 5 years and be on the hook for all 5 years. You're probably looking at 5 years and they'll have an out in about 2 or 3 of those years, like they did with Amari Cooper. Especially if they do something that we're going to talk about here in a second. I got my boy on hold right now. I'll bring him in a few. Just want to get y'all thoughts on this. James says, stupid move. Iceberg Q says, would be cheap in 3 years. Adam, not good. Too many missed games. Give me cash. Steven Jones is a train wreck. Professor O says, I'm okay with it if they plan to change the way he is utilized. Well, that's the thing, right? I feel that way about Schultz. If you're going to tag Schultz and sign him to a long-term deal, don't you almost have to feature him just to make it worth your while? It's rough, man. It's rough living on this side, man. It's rough. But all right, let's get into some draft talk, and then afterwards with Foots, we'll come back and we'll talk about whatever you guys want to get into. So with that said, I want to make sure I got my guy in here. Brother Foots, you on? You're locked and loaded. He's in the. Hold on, I got you.
He's in the building!
What's up, good brother?
How you feeling, Sky? How's everything?
I am good, man. When the news drops like this, these nuggets, it can be frustrating talking about it. So what I did yesterday, Foots, I put my head down into all this draft. I started looking at more film, looking at more players, and that helped out. So I'm all right. But real quick, before we do get into the draft stuff, how do you feel about Michael Gallup if he gets a long-term deal like that?
You know, it's funny because Dallas drafted Gallup, third round athlete, and Colorado State. You had expectations, but you didn't think that he would be this good. I don't know. Like you said, I think one of your subscribers hit it on the head. If they built an out, I'm not mad at it. The injury concerns are real, and there have been times where you've just seen him and Dak just aren't on the same page. But that being said, I mean, it's not, the offense, honestly, receiver, whoever you put, you want to keep Amari Cooper, but I've gotten over the fact that he's just not going to be here. So I think even if you sign him, you still have to cover yourself in free agency and the draft.
Yeah, again, if they do this long-term deal and bring back Said, which I don't know why they would do that, but just let's say they do, right? I think it makes this first round very, very interesting, Foots. And today I've got 5 top options. I didn't want to say top 5 because this can change. But I got 5 top options in the first round for the Cowboys that I want to discuss with you. And you can critique these players, critique the guys, whatever, how we want to do. And then I want to get into your 5-round mock draft before I let you go. So the reason why I said signing Gallup could be interesting is because one of the guys that I have, Foots, is wide receiver Chris Olave out of Ohio State. He would be at the 5th part of my project here. Now, you might be saying, well, Sky, listen, man. Well, why would you go draft a wide receiver? Why would you do that? And here, let's just talk about the prospect real quick. The buzzword around Chris Olave is, he's smooth. He's got plenty enough speed. He's a big play threat. He ran that 4.39 last week at the Combine, and a lot of people say he's probably the smoothest wide receiver in this draft. But, his frame's a bit small, so if I was the Cowboys, I would start him off in the slot or at the very worst, the Z position. But here's why I think it's interesting, because if you sign Gallup to that deal, he's not playing X, right? And you have your Z and Said, but I'm sorry, not Said, and Lamb, but you could utilize him in that slot because the Cowboys don't have that at this moment unless they sign Said Wilson. However, brother, if they draft a wide receiver in the first round, I feel like you're pushing out a CeeDee Lamb or a Michael Gallup in 2 or 3 years because you can't carry all 3 of them.
I'm going to say this. You are absolutely right about Olave, and Olave is the one receiver who I would not be mad at, Scott. I just believe that Chris Olave, what he put on film. So Olave and Garrett Wilson are honestly my 2 favorite receivers in the draft. And not only are they my 2 favorite receivers, I just believe that I told people to be mindful of, the Traylon Burks, Deebo Samuel thing, because I kind of knew this would happen, and I kind of told people, like, hey man, this guy's good, but you got to be careful because the explosiveness isn't exceptional. Like when you saw Garrett Wilson and Olave run routes, when you saw them move, you saw exceptional. You can make that work. If you put him in a slot, he comes in, he's instantly better than what you have, including Cedric Wilson, and it's not close. He's just that type of former 4-star athlete. He's just that type of athlete. Just because he's smaller in frame, the movement, the route tree. So he is a guy who, we talk about this draft stuff all the time, but we put everything in context, guy. You draft Chris Olave, sign me up.
Yeah, here's you said this, and it made me think. He's better, in my opinion, he's better than the Said Wilson. So, and it's not just him. I think you have a ton of options in day 2 of this draft, or day 1 if you want, of this draft at wide receiver that I don't think I need to sign Cedric Wilson to $6 to $8 million. So, if you really want a wide receiver that early, you can take one. But I wouldn't re-sign said because there's too many options in the top 100 picks that I think can fill that role. Kind of similar to Dalton Schultz. I feel like I can find a replacement and keep the train moving.
Yeah, and I think that now I'll say this: you better have a plan with the type of guy that you get, because you don't want to get, like I said, a Traylon Burks. Well, you can't play him in the slot. So
right,
it's a pipe
that's true.
dream to just bring him in. Yeah, it's a pipe dream to just bring him in because, CD is going to be on the edge and so is Gallup. So that doesn't make sense. That's not good drafting. But when you're talking about a Chris Olave, I think Garrett Wilson can play every position on the field. I think that Sky Moore is really good, but I still don't see a first-round talent only because of how many receivers are really in this draft. I mean, you got to think about it. Drake London. This receiving class is loaded.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that Sky Moore helped himself. The combine, he really showed well.
Yeah, I don't see him dropping to 56. I don't in round. I think he's definitely a top of round 2 type of wide receiver. Sky Moore, I'm talking about. Oh, we lost Foots. We lost Foots. He'll call back. Let me come back here and we'll get into the chat and we'll wrap to y'all. Let's get into this chat real quick and see what you guys are saying. A rookie wouldn't be better than Wilson, but go off foot. So you guys are saying that. Let me put this here. That said, Wilson, I think year one probably would have obviously a better relationship with Dak, but I think talent-wise, I think Chris Olave is better talent than said Wilson. I truly do believe that. We lost you, Foots. Hold on, let me get you back. You there, brother?
Yeah, I'm right with you. It's not even close. Listen, listen, Cedric Wilson has a great feel, but Olave is one of those guys, man. I'm telling you. So you're not wrong about Olave. I honestly think in this receiving class is going to be very, very tricky because there's a lot of guys who have high bust potential. Drake London is one of those guys. If he doesn't go to the right scheme, I can see bust. Same with Burks. If he doesn't go to the right scheme, I can see bust. If you get a guy like Olave who goes to a quarterback who is accurate, who, gets him the ball, he's going to be where he's supposed to be. He can run every route on the route tree. You're going to see a player who is going to be like, dang, why didn't we draft Olave? So he's definitely one of those guys.
Yeah. All right, let me get to I'm going to group these two guys together. What you're about to find out here with the rest of the picks is that I am very pro let's beef up this front in regards to both sides. And that is Kenyon Green and Zion Johnson. I have those two guys as 4 and 3 in my top 5 priority type of list here. And, those names speak for themselves if you know who they are. But your kind of thoughts on Kenyon Green and Zion add to this line?
Listen, two athletes that, I've been high on. Green, it's funny to hear writers saying, oh, he didn't so well at the time. But listen, he's a lineman. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with people saying Linderbaum hurt his stock because he didn't go and work out. He's a lineman.
Yeah, no.
He's in the trenches. Even some of the drill work they were doing was kind of funny. Like, you see these tackles pass setting and running 50 yards away. It's like that just doesn't make sense. Kenyon Green is going to be fine. Cut the tape on. And I think that Zion Johnson, the reps on the bench press were amazing. He's an option. And, I'm pro lineman. I'm not going to change. But even when you give me ideas like receiver, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at receiver. Yeah. But I'm just pro lineman because I understand that, hey, if you get the middle of Dak, if you get the middle of that rush taken care of, and you can run the ball, it helps a lot. It helps a lot, Scott.
Yeah, I'm actually not – I know it looks like, oh, you're pro wide receiver. I'm not really pro wide receiver. I'm trying to put my brain inside of the Cowboys' brain trust for the draft, right? And at 24, you're at the mercy of 23 other teams in front of you. And if there's a run on a certain position, which is interior line or just offense line in general, that could push a guy like Chris Olave down. And if he falls into that, CD Lamb situation where he was just overwhelmingly your favorite at the position, it wouldn't shock me if they took him because now they got that in their back pocket like, I don't have to pay CD later. And we talked about this yesterday. They are thinking like that. They think like that for sure, where they can save some money somewhere. But in regards to Zion and Kenyon Green, I'm all about making sure these trenches get certified on both sides of the ball because we need to be able to run better consistently and pass block better. And I've seen both of these guys do that. And I understand they both have some things to work on, but these two would be my top interior guys, not named Tyler Linderbaum. I understand he's the consensus number one center, but just get me somebody on the interior in the top 100 to help out moving forward.
And I'll say this, Sky. Now, the good thing about the combine is you get to see builds, and you get to see how they look next to each other. Kenyon Green is really like watching the film and then watching him rest next to the other bigs. He's what you need. Oh, man. His lower body, his lower half, his legs, his drive, and then you see him on film being able to climb next level, being able to reach, being able to pin, pull. His pull game is outstanding. To be that size, he digs people out of there. You know, and I think Zion Johnson is going to be a better center in the NFL than guard. I think he'll be able to play both and have some position flex. But Green really checked off the box. The movement and, you know, some of the drills when it comes to linemen. For the skill guys and the DBs, yes, you need to be clean. For the linemen, you get with a good old line coach, they'll clean that stuff up. I'm looking more about the mentality. And that's why even listening to Linderbaum's just his interview, you know, he has the mentality, Sky. But Green, just looking at his bottom half, I really like what I saw just as far as the power.
I'm glad you've corrected yourself because on the round table, you ain't say it's bottom half. So you
it's early in the morning. It's early in the morning, Scott, so I'm keeping it PG-13.
You got your coffee in you, huh? I'm gonna keep it in the trenches, man. This one may surprise some people. It may surprise you, Foots. I genuinely didn't tell you about this list because I wanted your reactions. Because about a month ago when you came on and we got to talking on the early stages of the draft, I kept saying, you know, I'm going to rule out defensive end right now because there's no way they cut, you know, DeMarcus Lawrence, right? They're going to restructure DeMarcus Lawrence. He has to be here. He's a beast, right? And maybe I'm pretty sure they'll bring back Randy Gregory. I don't even know if that's even a guarantee at this moment. And it sounds like they're going to move on from one DeMarcus Lawrence. Therefore, I've got defensive end Jermaine Johnson up there. Now, a lot of people are not gung-ho on Jermaine in the first round. But what I'm trying to do, right, I'm trying to add a combination of some realism here, right, some circumstantial situation where we're at right now. We could be staring at no defensive ends, or we could be staring at just Randy Gregory, who has shown to date he hasn't been a guy that stay on the field consistently. So defensive end could be creeping up. And we said this weeks ago. Defensive end could end up being a top need if DeMarcus Lawrence is out. And Jermaine Johnson, to me, I really like this kid, man. 6'5", 254. Had a fantastic year last year. And his first year, the only year with Florida State, transfer from Georgia. And think about him on that damn Georgia line. It's kind of crazy, right? But I love his length.
Oh, yeah.
You know, 34-inch arms. He uses his length extremely well to set the edge. He can peek and shed at a high level. I think he's a tooly guy, man, that hasn't hit his ceiling. His ceiling, to me, is very high. And I like his floor, too. I think he could come in right now and help you at the very least in the run game, which, by the way, if you're going to lose a DeMarcus Lawrence, get me a guy who can set that edge. And I think Jermaine could do it, but I think he has some go to him as a pass rusher, too, man. He's played 58 snaps in 11 of the 12 games, so Jermaine can go. So in my crazy Foots, in my crazy Cowboys Nation, I like a Jermaine Johnson if you're kind of wiped out of the top edge rushers, which you probably will be.
Now, let me say this, Scott. I'm going to have a come-to-God moment. There were times on film where I was turned off by Jermaine Johnson, and this was particularly before he transferred into Florida State. But I'm going to say this, and I want everybody to hear this and keep this. I had a come-to-God moment watching Jermaine Johnson move this last weekend. Mm-hmm. He looked more fluid than some of the backers who were true off-ball linebackers. His movement is real. He now showed me that he has position flex, that he could play in the 3-4 scheme, stand up, hand in the dirt.
Right.
His hips are not tight. So keep this sound drop. I have grown on Jermaine Johnson a lot, and that's the process. That's why I said we don't have to rush. I think that he's jumped himself into I think for sure that he's jumped himself into a top 15 prospect anyway.
Ooh.
Oh, he's a top 15 guy. Oh yeah. You'll see. Because, I like Karlaftis. The problem with Karlaftis is the movement just wasn't.
I like Jermaine better than Karlaftis.
And
I'm not making that decision willy-nilly. I really forced I said, find what you like better about Karlaftis than Jermaine. And I couldn't really lie to myself. I like Jermaine all around better than him. And he probably will go after Karlaftis.
I was about to say the problem is, Scott, and it's not to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But the truth is this: Karlaftis is early on in his career a two-down defensive end. Set the edge, play the run. The pass rush ability, I'm not going to say it's not there, but it's something that he's going to have to grow into and be schemed into.
Sure.
I think he's, that's just what it is with him. But he will play that run, and there is a lane for guys like that. I think he's going to be more of a second-round guy because you see guys like – I'm going to tell you this right now, and now save this as well. Ajobo is going in the first round. The traits are just too good for him not to go round one. David Ajobo, Michigan DN, is going to go in the first round. Mark my words. And Jermaine Johnson, he's flown up throughout the process. He's really done everything that you need to do from that DN position, man.
Yeah.
The numbers, the Senior Bowl dominant. Then he goes and he dominated the combine. To be a stand-up defensive end and then do some backer drills and just move fluent like that, he's gonna go first round.
Yeah, him. I actually struggled with this one. I was trying to determine who do I like better between Travon Walker and Jermaine. I like them equally, but I look at Travon Walker as a guy he has to work towards his pass rushing. Where I looked at Jermaine and I'm like, my goodness, he got some tools. And does he know how to use them all just yet? Probably not, right? That's where a guy like Dan Quinn will come in. But I called him tooly because he doesn't use one move all the time or two or three moves. He uses a bunch of moves. It doesn't always work, but if you get Dan Quinn underneath him, right, and help him mold, say, hey, listen, young fella, you don't need to try these 3-4 different things. Work on this one or two things here, be great at it, and then you'll have counters off of that. I think he could be really difficult to deal with down in and down out as a left defensive end type. And when you look at the way Dan Quinn uses these guys, he'll have them standing up, he'll have them dropping back, he'll have them inside, moving all over the place. And when I look at the prospects not named, Hutchinson and those guys, I think Jermaine is a guy that DQ would have a lot of fun with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, Jermaine Johnson, if he's there, he's going to be in consideration for the Cowboys. And, again, it just goes back to doing what? Bolstering. To me, I think the focal point needs to be this defense. And I think the offense will suffice. But if you have an outstanding defense, you'll be in game. And I think that's what Dallas has to eventually work through and work to. So I'm not mad at that at all.
All right, the number one foot is all but a damn pipe dream if we're keeping it honest at this point. Before he blew up the combine, it was a possibility, right, because of his positional value, that one Jordan Davis could have been there. There's a lot of people that don't believe in a guy like Jordan Davis because, he's only a two-down guy or, he's a one-tech or okay. So that positional value could have dropped him down and played in the favor of the Cowboys. Not after the combine, brother. I can't possibly see that happening. So somebody's going to be enamored with his athleticism plus his tape and say, I'll take that guy to play this role at an exceptional level to help everybody else out. And that's how I view him. I view Jordan Davis as a guy that will not only help your defensive line out, but he'll help your linebackers. He'll help your safeties, right? He'll help the middle of your defense right now. And you haven't had a guy like him playing in the middle of your defense in quite some time, maybe since, a Leroy Glover type. And again, that's high expectations. But, I think he can really be a dominant guy. If he's not, I'll come back here and say I was wrong. But I think Jordan Davis can be a dominant defensive tackle. I don't care what you want to label him in the NFL. So that's why he's my number one option. I know he ain't falling to 24 foot, but if he sniffs anywhere past the mid-teens, I'm actually making a phone call.
Yeah, he's what you call a dancing bear, but I don't think he'll get out of the. I mean, and let me tell you something now. There's gonna be a lot of shuffling at the top of this draft. I mean, you talking about guys, and we'll save this for my mock. But you talking, I'm gonna give you three names who might see themselves start to plummet. And Dallas could also. Kyle Hamilton is a name. Numbers could have been better. Derek Stingley is a name. Devin Lloyd is a name. So with all these risers, because Jordan Davis, you look at that, if you have a decent linebacking core, or if you have decent guys on the edge, if you have a player like him who could push that pocket, it changes. People say he can't play on passing down. Yes, he can. Bull rush every play. Just master that bull rush. Because I'm telling you now, a lot of quarterbacks don't deal with pressure in their face well. Some of these athletic guys definitely don't. More times than none, teams are trying to learn how to keep quarterbacks in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
When they can escape through the back door, that's when they really hurt you. You get a guy like Jordan Davis who can walk these guards back who aren't as strong. So yeah, Jordan Davis, he won't get out of the top 12 picks, top 15 for sure. And then, the knock is, well, you hear he's only a two-down player and the conditioning. Hey, if you give me a 300-pound human being that can run that speed, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out.
Foots, I gotta do this to you on air here. We have breaking news here, man. The Dallas Cowboys are franchise tagging one Dalton Schultz, sources said, keeping another playmaker in the fold coming off his best season. Schultz is now locked in for the 2022 with a long-term deal and hope in the future. Once again, breaking news. Dalton Schultz has been franchise tagged. I know this is awkward for you because you are a big-time Schultz fan, but you weren't in favor of the tag for him.
No. Sky, I leave that to you guys. You guys do the best of keeping us up with the free agency side of things. You know this is my time of year. I'll just say this. I think that Dallas got caught with their pants down, not having a plan. And it's showing with some of these moves. Do I think that Dalton Schultz can play? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would I have franchised him? Probably not. I probably would have went like McKeon, draft, and a free agent. But I think that they like what he brings. I think that they like that he knows the building, and it is what it is.
Yeah, this all but, I mean, this has to all but rule out a tight end in the top 100, right? Like, I would not waste a pick.
Yeah, and you look at guys like Trey McBride who had a really good combine. But yeah,
definitely not
getting
that.
I think it does.
I said yesterday, I thought, me personally, that Sean McEwen could have had a similar developmental arc as Dalton Schultz, because when you look at both of them, they're very similar players coming out of college. Not a big resume in regards to pass catching. Were known as blockers coming in. Didn't get a lot of time their first 2 years in the league. And then developed as a pass catcher. And I thought you saw a little bit of Sean McEwen developing as a pass catcher in the preseason last year before he got hurt. So, I think McEwen can at the very least compete for tight end too. So what I would do, I would still go in free agency and maybe get you a cheap guy. I'm talking tight end 3 type. So we're not talking about OJ Howard's. That stuff is done. You're not getting those guys anymore. You go out there, you get a tight end 3 to compete with Sean McEwen, but I think McEwen can fill that tight end 2 role. How you feel about him?
Oh, I like Sean. You actually pointed him out to me, and I paid attention. Sean can play. Very physical at the point. He's really like a Dalton Schultz clone. I just think the difference is you haven't seen him do it under the bright lights. And you've seen Schultz, for whatever people want to say, and Schultz is my guy. You've seen Schultz. I don't think he's Kelsey. He doesn't have that ability, but you've seen Schultz at times make plays. And the truth is this: the quarterback trusts him. So whatever anybody has to say, Floor likes Dalton Schultz. So
yeah,
I think people need to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I will definitely have more on this once we're done here with this conversation. So my top 5, Foots, I'll just go over this one more time. Jordan Davis, Jermaine Johnson, my top 2. Zion Johnson, Kenyon Green, and then wide receiver Chris Olave. Again, this can change. This is just right now, pre-free agency, post-combine. This can change. But these are the guys that, you know, if Cowboys landed them, I'd be cool with. I'd walk away out of the round one feeling pretty good. But before I let you go, Foots, drop your 5-round mock draft, just a brief description on it, and then we'll send people to go check that out as well.
First of all, Sky, as always, thank you for having me. And this was kind of some of my combine winners. But then it's also just some outside thinking of what Dallas can do. And before I drop it, there were guys, I'm going to tell you this right now, Sky. There were guys, I mean, I'll be honest with you, outside of like Jordan Davis, I think that you talk about Troy Anderson, who we've talked about, Christian Harris, there are guys who, at the linebacker position, even at corner, you think about the way Sauce Gardner worked out. If Stingley starts to fall, what do? The safeties. So, I mean, this was the best combine I've ever witnessed. Okay, Scott, enough of my draft bothering you, because I know you got.
No, you're not bothering me, brother. I listen. I told you I don't really go to the big networks to listen to draft talk. The big guys that I do go to, Daniel Jeremiah and Dane Brugler. I think everybody does, right? Other than that, it's you, it's and it's Vach, and it's Jeff. These type of guys, Brian Broaddus, I listen to. So anytime you talk draft, I'm listening, brother. So go ahead.
Okay, so here we go, Scott. We went Tyler Linderbaum, round 1. I think because of the rise of these receivers and the way that they ran, and because of these edge players and linebackers, I think people are going to fly up forward, and I think that Linderbaum will be sitting right there because, let's be honest, a center isn't sexy in the top 20 picks. Now, it could happen, but teams usually forget how to draft. I think he'll be there. Round 2, I went Darian Beavers, linebacker, Cincinnati. I really like his workout, and I really like his film. Bigger body, he can do a lot of different things. He can play in the middle of that defense. He can also rush off the edge. And he was asked about that, and he takes pride in it. He just is a gritty dude. And the film is there. All right, round 3, I went Alec Pierce, another Cincinnati athlete, 4'3" guy. Okay, so he probably won't even be there in the 3rd round, but that speed is real. Reminds me of Jordy Nelson. Initially, you start him off in the slot, but he'll be a big slot. But guess what? He's a big slot that can run. He's a big slot that can run. And that's very, very important because that 4'3" speed shows up. His start-stop ability was good, and he killed the combine. Nick Cross is another one who I think he's going to have a Darnell Savage, another Maryland safety. He's going to have a Darnell Savage type rise. I don't know if you remember that draft cycle. Savage came out of nowhere, 1st-round pick, Packers. They're like, what?
Baller, too.
Pro Bowl. Oh, yeah. And see, that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to get all the information because guys that we think, you get this, you see a safety running 4'3", you go back and you start to like that film a little bit better, right? Exactly. Yeah. Then I went round 5, Josh Rivas. I talk more about him on the channel, just a guard from K-State. You have to address guard again. And then I went Abram Smith. I like this player a lot because the thing I like about Abram Smith is he was a linebacker. He's a running back now at Baylor. He was a linebacker. They switched him to running back because last year he had like 1,400 yards, something crazy like that, a running back. Just a bowling ball, Scott, and I think that we need that in this offense. Just a downhill, mean, young leg freak of an athlete. So those are my guys, and I want to give a special shout-out to Lewis Singh. Lewis Singh, Georgia safety. Listen, that is now my pet cat. His workout, his film. I don't know if Dallas will be in the market for a safety early because you got to get him in the first 2 rounds. But he is a dude, Sky. So those are my guys. I
threw a swerve at the subscribers. I put a safety on the thumbnail on purpose, but we know they're not taking a safety in the top 100. So I just completely said, I'm not even going to put him in any of those guys, Daxton Hill types, in my top 5 because I don't think it's going to happen in round 1. So.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree.
Hey, Foots, man.
Yeah, those are my guys, man.
I appreciate you joining me as always. I look forward to doing this every week if we can, to kind of review the draft in any way possible and get some of your draft knowledge. And make sure y'all check out Foots on his channel, Cowboys Nation TV. And if you want more in-depth talk on his mock draft, just head on over to his channel, and it's the latest video he has up there.
As always, man, Scott, thanks for having me, big guy.
Appreciate you, brother.
Peace.
That is my guy, my brother from another Foots, the King, joining us here today on A to Z Sports Live. Breaking news. Breaking news. Let me pull that over here. Dalton Schultz tagged. All right, before I get into that and I get to the phone line, Brandon, you've been holding. I appreciate you holding on here, Brandon. Let me talk about Worth the Poor. All right, guys. Worth the Poor is a family-owned and operated luxury liquor store, and it really is a luxury liquor store. That store is nice in there, with affordable prices, with a wide variety of spirit, wine, and beer samples available, making your drink choice easy. And for the game day party that won't end, they even offer liquor deliveries to all of Denton County. If you live outside of Denton County and want to schedule delivery, just call Worth the Poor and pass along your zip code. They'll schedule a delivery if possible. To make sure Worth the Poor is part of your game day routine, download Worth the Poor app on your phone or visit worththepoor.com to schedule your delivery today. I might need a dang pour after this. I might need me a pour. Again, the reason why we talk about these things every day on the show, whether it be for an hour or for 5 minutes, is to prepare you for these things that to come. So you're not having these crazy emotions, right? This was kind of expected. It was coming down the pipe. So it's not super surprising to us, right? Wouldn't have did it. But he's here. So let's talk about it. Okay, let's get to Brandon, our guy B. What's up, man?
What's good, G? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Well, let me ask you something real quick. Detail your reaction when I broke that news that Dalton Schultz was getting franchise tagged for $11 million.
Bro, you know what? We've been talking about it. So honestly, it's just like, okay. So, all right, cool. One of the dominoes that we finally talked about actually happened. So we can't take it back. Would I have done it? Mm-hmm. I'm not paying $11 million for a check down. Check down guy. Because Dalton Schultz is basically the guy. Like, if I'm scheming against the Cowboys offense, my guys will know that, hey, when things break down, this is the guy that Dak typically looks for. Yep. But when you go to scripted plays, I can promise you, with the Cowboys offense constructed last year, he was probably the 5th guy on the list, which is why he got a lot of those plays, those catches and opportunities. Cooper has doubled. CeeDee Lamb, his route tree is kind of easy to defend because a lot of things that he does within the first 5 yards. You want to take things away from CeeDee when it comes to getting the ball in his hands early. He's not a threat downfield because of how the Cowboys use him. Right. And Michael Gallup, he's easy to defend because he has 3 routes. He has a go route, he has a stop route, and he has the slant. They don't run the digs to him anymore. He doesn't have the 7 to 8 yard out in his game, so he's easy to defend. You know what I'm saying? And then what happens? Schultz is open for a check down because it's an easy throw for Dak to make. It's not a throw that requires a lot of trust and confidence. So all that BS about what's his name, Dan Orlovsky talking. I heard you talking last week, man. I just didn't get a chance to call in.
He said,
man, I was like, what is wrong with this dude?
Dan says Schultz is more important than Amari Cooper.
Man, that shit there had me hot, bro. I was just like, what? And you know what? And that's what pisses me off is that this idea that people were creating in the media and the Cowboys actually wanting that so they can justify cutting Coop. We all know, man, this stuff is personal with Coop. I don't care what nobody say, bro. This is personal because you can't sit here. Your quarterback's career was going downward until he got Amari Cooper. And what pisses me off about Dak, bro, just real talk, he's not even coming out saying he wants this, man. I don't want to hear, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't care.
Yeah, that's not him.
Help save your career.
That's why to
me,
it
don't matter. It needs to be him.
But that ain't him.
Because this man helped save your career. You don't got to talk about the money. But just like CeeDee Lamb came out and said it on NBC Sports, like you need 2 of them.
Well, I bet you if they asked him, if they asked him about it, he'd give his opinion on it. But if Dak Prescott was the type of guy that came out in the offseason talking about certain players or who he wants and things like that, and he didn't do it now, I would be like, yo, what's going on, man? You talked about so-and-so before, but you're not coming out. But that just ain't him, and we talked about it before. He need a little bit of effort in the system, and he don't. He's more so, I'm gonna peel back, man.
A company dude, man, and I don't want my QB being like that. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? You may be onto something there, because how many times is Stephen Jones gonna take shots at this man for taking the contract that he got? It's your fault.
And he ain't coming out even defending his damn self. So.
And that's where Tad, I think it's Tad. That's where he come in. His brother.
His you know, that just made me think about something as you said that. Like, Stephen Jones could really create a very toxic situation in the way he talks. The way he talks about his quarterback and the cap and all that shit. If I was me personally, why you keep bringing up my money as if you was doing something prior to me getting paid any damn way? But see, that's not that Prescott, you know. He's not going to stir anything up. He don't want any confrontation. So, you know. And neither is Cooper. Because if I'm Cooper, I'm coming out too, right? Because this couldn't have been Dez. It couldn't have been T.O., right? Like they would have said something, but that's not those guys. So to me, it doesn't shock me. Yeah, right. It doesn't shock me that they're not speaking out, because that's not who they are. But you know, maybe there needs to be somebody that challenges the front office. But we know they are calculated in that way, right? They're calculated in that way. They'll bring in guys that won't do that.
Right, man. But man, let me get to what I wanted to talk about real quick, man, so I can let you go. You know, I heard you and Foots talking about the draft. I agree with a little bit what he said. I'm not the biggest Zion Johnson fan.
Really?
Unless he's playing center. Yeah, I'm not. I don't. They don't run the type of scheme. He's better in an outside zone scheme. He's not a guy that, to me, he's built like Connor Williams.
What?
He may be a little strong. Yeah, he's not as stocky as they're about. What is he, about 310?
He's 316.
Connor Williams about 310.
He was listed as 316 coming into the NFL, brother. So you're talking about a guy that has his college weight, that he's likely going to get up to 320 with his grown man peanut butter body. Connor Williams was sub 300. In fact, I think he was sub 295. So they're completely when he came in, and he played tackle where Zion is a guard's guard. That's an interesting comp.
Yeah, because when I look at Zion, man, I think the scheme that the Cowboys play, it doesn't fit him.
Let me ask you something. What the hell is that?
In a movement.
Because I don't even know what is the Cowboys' scheme.
they do a lot of traps. They do
not enough.
They do some down blocks and stuff like that. That's the type of stuff that they do. When you look at Zion Johnson, you want to get him in a movement-based scheme like they do up in Cincinnati, Minnesota, those type of places.
San Fran, LA Rams type stuff.
Yeah, use his ability to be able to move. To me, if you sit him down and just ask him to just play in that little phone booth, to me, you're taking away from his game.
You don't think he can move? You don't think he can anchor or push?
Nah, I'm not. And it's not about, to me, you can be strong, but at the next level, sometimes it doesn't translate. And that's just my opinion, man.
Right.
That's just my opinion, because I played defensive tackle, and I wasn't the strongest guy, but I was the biggest guy. And I wasn't necessarily, I wasn't strong. And sometimes it just doesn't translate. And that, like I said, that's just my opinion.
Right.
But I think he's right about, go ahead.
No, I'm just, it's your opinion. We all got our opinions here. Nobody is right or wrong right now.
The guy that I like Jamari Slayer out of UGA.
The Georgia guy,
he played tackle. Yeah, that's who I like. You give me him in the second round, okay, I'm ready to move. Because he has position flex, but I think and matter of fact, what's his name? Will McClay. He said it. He said he thinks this offense, when he did the interview on the draft show last week, he said that the offensive line depth is actually deeper, especially for a lot of these inside guys, because a lot of the tackles, they can go down inside because they have the athletic ability.
Yeah, a guy like Kennard.
But they can slide. Exactly, but they're probably better projected to move down inside, and that's, to me, a guy like Jamari Slayer. I would take him in the second round before I took Zion Johnson, because I feel like he fits better in the Cowboys scheme.
And that's the thing. You got to be careful, though. You got to be careful with that, especially early on. And it's a fine line as a GM. You got to walk, right? Do I take said player to fit said need/scheme, or do I take the best player and make it work with them? Because this scheme may not be the scheme in a year or two, right? You could be looking at a completely different scheme, and now you drafted that player and you got 3 years left with them, and you drafted him for one specific scheme. So I think it's a fine line. You're not wrong, by the way. It's just that you got to figure out, can this player translate, period, no matter what I decide to do? Or is this a guy like a 340-pound just mauler? He can't move at all. I don't want him getting pulling. I don't want to do any of that stuff. Then yeah, you got a specific scheme-based player. So that's just a line you think about as a guy in that draft room.
If it wasn't the Cowboys, it would be different because we see what they're doing. They're doing it with Dalton Schultz. They're doing it with Michael Gallup, and they're doing it by getting rid of Amari Cooper. So we see that they're doing things to fit their scheme.
Sure.
So if we can't change it, it's like, and if I sit here and tell you, yeah, you know what, man, take the best player. They did it with CeeDee Lamb, but at the same time, they needed CeeDee Lamb.
No, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't, he just, it's one of those things where he failed. And like Foots was just talking about, man, you starting to see your boy, like me and you, we safety freaks. Like, I love safety play. Kyle Hamilton might fall into the team.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
I'm just telling you, but I'm going to just kill it off for you. They're not going to go. I would be shocked if they gave up a second-round pick to move up, and I honestly don't want them to. I don't want them to give up that second.
I almost photoshopped Kyle Hamilton with the Glock in his car. Just to, no, with the Glock in his whip, just to get him to fall to 24. I almost slandered him. Kyle Hamilton ran a 4.59, y'all. Oh, he must suck. Oh, let him drop. If you got 23 teams ahead of him, you don't want to touch Kyle. Yeah, please let him fall.
Man,
please.
Hey, if he fall anywhere after 17, bro, I'm going to get him. Like,
it ain't
please,
going to happen,
like
brother.
These teams get so he's damn near 6'4", and he ran a 4.5. That's
my
good,
favorite player
bro.
in this draft. Right, they're acting like
his ability.
And if you look at his
40 and to play center, right, he was moving.
If you look at his 40, bro, he stumbled. He didn't run that smoothly. Like, he looks much smoother on film than he did in that 40. But again, we're talking about a guy that's not ever going to be. He's going top 10. So.
Bro's so smooth, man. He's so smooth. A guy that big can play center fielder and drive on the football like that. The way he plays with range, and he's not afraid to tackle. He's not afraid to, man, they tripping, man. Man, I called for a whole different reason, man. I don't even remember what I called about. I just end up chopping it up with
That's what happened when we talk, B. We always chop it up,
It's all love, man. All right, man.
If you remember, just call in tomorrow, man.
Oh, man, it's all good, bro. I'm going to sit back and listen to whatever game you put out there, bro. Appreciate it, man. You always giving that good content, man, and it's always good to start the morning off over here, man. And matter of fact, man, I'm over here in Vegas. And I know you're probably gonna be at the draft.
You might see me. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna definitely try to, if possible, connect, man, and meet up and meet you, man, and all that, man.
Sure.
Because that's a hometown.
I'll let y'all know 100% if I'm going or not. Right now, it's in the plans with the company, so we're talking about it. So I'll let y'all know. Appreciate you, B.
Okay, G. All right, man. Be safe.
Sure. Good talk with B. Right there, y'all see it. The big news of the morning dropped today. In fact, I probably should change the whole goddamn on everything. The title, all that stuff. Dalton Schultz has been franchise tagged. He will be back with the Dallas Cowboys. They'll look to probably get a long-term deal done with him. I would imagine so. I don't think they want to carry the entire $11 million. So look for probably, I would say, a 5-year deal. That's what they like to do, a 5-year deal with a 2 to 3 year out on Dalton Schultz. It could look, according to, I think it was it Bobby Belt who said he thinks it could look like Dallas Goedert. The Dallas Goedert contract upwards. Now, remember, the franchise tag means that is the floor that they're going to have the negotiations with. $11 million is the floor. And damn well the agent's going to try to come above that around likely 12 to 13, $14 million. So I don't think Schultz is a bad player at all. I think Schultz is a good player, especially for what he does, which is kind of everything 10 yards and in, 7 yards and in. Tough guy, reliable. Listen, earned his bag. Earned his bag. I just think once you start utilizing or putting that type of resource to that position, now I think the responsibility changes, or it should change, to somewhere around, hey, I'm featuring you. Now we're drawing it up for you. And I just don't see that type of skill in Dalton Schultz to where I can take advantage of him downfield, big playability. He's more or less a comfortable target, I want to call him a button hook guy or just a 5-yard dump it off guy. That's kind of disrespectful, right? I mean, I'm not saying that those who call him that are disrespecting him, but I don't want to say that, but I mean, it's kind of what he does. But he does it well. He does it well. So congratulations to Dalton Schultz on getting the bag, Cowboys Nation. Don't expect, I personally would not expect to see a tight end drafted in the top 4 rounds, right? Like, that has to go out the window. You got too many other small holes at this point, at the very least, to take a tight end in round 1, 2, or 3. 4, maybe I could argue that, but it is clear as day. Dalton Schultz is your tight end for at least the next 3 to 4 years. All you need to do is find a tight end 2, and you might have it in Sean McKeon. Sign you a tight end 3 in free agency. Get you an undrafted free agent guy, and now you got your tight end room moving forward. All right, let's get to Glenn, then Los on the horn. What's up, Glenn?
Hey, what's good, Scott?
What's good?
Thanks for taking the call. So, yeah, man, great show as usual. I'm listening to the draft talk, and I'm just now starting to look at it. I feel like I'm over the playoff loss now. It took me that long, but
I'm blaming.
With this news on Dalton Schultz, I'm shocked. I am absolutely shocked that they're going to use the franchise tag on him and not Randy Gregory. Again, I'm no capologist. I'm not an expert. But to me, the guy that I can't let get out the building, but I'm not quite ready to throw him the bag long term, it's Randy Gregory. To me, Dalton Schultz, just like your last caller said, he is the safety valve only because defensive coordinators are giving Dak that option. He's the one guy who won't beat you as far as at the end of the game, well, we couldn't stop the Cowboys because we couldn't stop Dalton Schultz. That has never happened, and this is a case of where it's clear that what Stephen Jones – I really don't think it's Will McClay. I think it's Stephen Jones at the end of the year, he looks at the stats and he looks at the money. And in his mind, if the money doesn't match the stats, you're out of here. It's a clear case where he's not watching film. He doesn't understand coverages. He doesn't understand who's getting double teamed. And frankly, that's part of the fault of the coaching staff, because just because a guy is double teamed, you should still be able to get him the ball. Cooper Kupp proved that. Top wide receivers proved that.
Yeah, that's
a double team shouldn't take you out.
Correct.
So I'm just absolutely I'm shocked they're using the franchise tag, because for me, Dalton Schultz can't. I like him. I don't love him. He doesn't break tackles. He doesn't block. Whenever he gets hit, I feel like he's going to fumble.
Really?
I don't know what to say.
Glenn,
there was one game.
He was a fumbling machine in 2020 when he first came on the scene. He was fumbling a lot, but he cleaned that up. Schultz is he's weird to me, because I'm not upset that they brought Schultz back, because I know what I'm going to get from Schultz. Right? Like, if it was a guy I didn't know what I'd get from, and they put all that money towards, like, again, I like a O.J. Howard, but if they say, yo, we're going to sign O.J. Howard to 5 years, $50 million, I'd be like, whoa, wait a minute, slow down. Just sign him to a year, see what happens. So I know what I'm going to get from Schultz. I was just kind of in the mind frame of I kind of want a little bit more from the position, especially if it's going to be utilized as more of a product of its environment as opposed to being a feature of the offense. Because if it's a product of its environment, I can get a little bit more freaky with it, right? Like I can do some big play type things. I can send them on down the seam. I can do some post if I get a guy like that. Instead, I got a guy who I'm just going to pretty much do a lot of, button hooks, curl routes, suspect blocking at this. I mean, I know what I'm getting from Schultz, so I'm not upset, but I kind of wanted more if I could, or the potential of having more if I could. So it's a weird feeling I have with this situation, Glenn.
Well, and this is the way I look at it. If it's their intention to sign Gregory long term and throw the bag at him and make the commitment and give him the contract that he's looking for, then I guess okay, that's fine. But if it turns out that Randy Gregory gets overwhelmed on the market, and there's always someone who is willing to do that, and then we end up losing Randy Gregory because now we can't use our tag, that to me tells me that what the Cowboys are doing is just sort of hitting the pause button. And it's like I said before when I called in, I felt like they're hitting the pause button and they're just waiting on Sean Payton, and they're essentially not really going for it.
I think they're punting this year.
They're punting.
Well, let me tell you.
Yeah, and that's not right.
You talked about the cap. You see, not capologists, things like that. I can tell you why they didn't tag Randy Gregory. The tag is like $17 million. So they weren't going to do that. They're going to try to get a long-term deal done with him probably before he hits free agency. It's a possibility that that it could happen. But here's what the downside of that is: if it doesn't happen, which I honestly would have been okay with it if Randy priced himself out and you had DeMarcus Lawrence, right? Like, okay, whatever. I still got me a beast of a defensive end, and I can go get me another defensive end in free agency or the draft, and we can work at that. But you cut DeMarcus Lawrence and you don't come to a friendly agreement or what have you with a Randy Gregory, you put yourself in an extreme bind going into free agency in the draft. So the Cowboys, you ever go to a water park and there's that water, squirting up from the ground, all the holes, and you put your hand over it and another hole pops up. That's kind of how I feel like the Cowboys are handling this situation. Whack-a-mole. Or like whack-a-mole, where they're putting their hands over here, but then the water's spikes up over here, and they put the hand over here, and the water's coming over here. It doesn't feel like a plan, like Foot said, and right now we're kind of just at the mercy of them bringing back some guys and getting rid of others. It just happens to be the others are really damn good players. So that's what makes me a little like, man, I don't know about this process, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. And last thing I'll say before I let you get to some other callers is that it's so nakedly obvious to me that they're really just completely looking at stats alone to tell the story, and that's all. I guess it's Stephen Jones. I guess he's the guy that makes the decisions. But if he looks at the stats and he thinks that you're not measuring up based on what he's paying you, then you're out of here. And that to me that's not really the way to run an organization, because DeMarcus Lawrence, and you and I talked about this before, we knew even when he signed the contract, he wasn't going to be getting 17, 20 sacks.
No.
Or 17, 15. That was he is an 8 to 10 sack guy a year, but he sets the edge like no other. And he absolutely is probably, and I think even Skip and Shannon, they were talking about this, and I usually don't agree with Shannon Sharp's takes, but he said DeMarcus Lawrence might be the best defensive end when it comes to stopping the run, because he sets that edge and you're not going over there. And if you try to go over there, you're going to take a loss. And that is an underrated aspect of a defensive end. It's not all about getting sacked. Sometimes you got to shut down that side of the run to make offenses more one-dimensional.
I think what happens, Glenn, is we're so accustomed here in Dallas and looking at the contract, right, to where we forget, well, how good is the player? Right, the player is still real. This isn't a player that's 34 years old on the downside of his career, right? Same thing with Amari Cooper, and we've been programmed because of Stephen Jones to say, well, how much is he making? Because in other instances, like a Crawford or a Sean Lee or other guys, it was like, okay, these dudes just aren't that good anymore. Why are they still around? And that's what bugs me. You guys are willing to move on from guys still low-key in their prime, but you weren't willing to move on from a Sean Lee, a Jason Witten, a Tyron Crawford, who you could have used that money to pay so-and-so and so-and-so. So it's like, what do y'all want, Cowboys? What do you want, Steven? What do you want? I don't think they know.
It's a merry-go-round and a vicious cycle, but I don't know, man. It is what it is, but great show as usual. I'll keep listening.
What it is.
And I'll talk to you later.
Appreciate you, brother. It is what it is. Yeah. I thought about that the other day. I said, wait a minute now, man. Yeah. And again, it wasn't at 20-something million. I get that with Crawford and with Sean Lee, but those are easy cap casualties. Easy. And that was around the time where you could have been, signing Dak Prescott and getting him at a comfortable number moving forward, as opposed to using him as an excuse, which is ridiculous because now with the restructure, Dak is not even in the top 10. He's somewhere around 15 or so, outside the top 15 in regards to cap hits this year. So save it for those that say, well, you can't pay. Yes, you can, because he's not even in the top 15 or 10 of the NFL in regards to cap hits at the position. So let me get the Los, and I got to set it off Chris here. What's up, Los?
Good morning, Scott. Good morning.
Man.
It's been a while since I called in. Just been busy with work. Hope you're doing good, man.
Los, I'm mistaken you for Give Me Cash yesterday. I'm like, wait a minute. Is this Los? But I forgot there's Cash and then there's Give Me Cash. They're two different people, brother. But what's up with you?
Yeah. It's all good, man. But, hey, man, Schultz is a shock to my system. Like, at that moment, when I heard the news in the car, I was like, what are we doing? And do not get me wrong, like, not having Cooper and like, Marcus Lawrence on top of that, man, I think it's just crazy. And I'm saying this, with Zeke and now Schultz, it's the stubbornness of the Jones family trying to be proven they know football. That's what I'm getting. And it's like telling kids or teenagers, hey, we can give you the answers to the test. If you don't have this in your formula or anything like that, you're probably going to fail. Or, you're going to keep doing mistakes. And somehow they keep doing the same mistakes time and time again. And I'm going to say now, guys, go ahead.
No, I would give them slack if all this stuff they've done over the last decade or so has paid off. I just don't see a payoff. So to me, I think it's fair to critique the moves that they make 100%.
And that's my second point. Like, my second round is the Cowboys have always had the ability to have players that have good names and talented players, right? However, when it comes to the postseason and, like, it's time to compete, we have only had 3 playoff wins in 25 years, or 4 playoff wins, Sky.
Yeah.
While the Eagles have like 13 or 14. They build a roster for their postseason, from in my opinion, at times. And I feel like Cowboys just build a roster just for I'm not trying to say this is just my opinion, but just so we can like buy the jerseys, get a little hype, like, oh man.
I don't necessarily think
and
you're wrong.
At the end of the year, like, oh, well, they're not putting, I don't know, man. This is just me ranting. I'm sorry if I can't speak
No,
clearly.
rant, bro. Do your thing. I let y'all do that all the time.
Like, man, dude, like, how can you first of all, signing Cooper, like, hey, Dak, we're going to give you Cooper so we can give you a premium wide receiver that can give you a slant, a go route, in and out, anything you like in that route tree. And, I feel like this year, like, Cooper was in handcuffs. He performed better with backup quarterbacks, Sky. How's that possible?
Well, one game. I mean, he had literally his best game this year was with Dak Prescott.
No, I'm saying last year's stats with Cooper were better than this year's, and that was with backup quarterbacks.
Oh, you mean the 2020? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, come on, Sky. And you're paying him top wide receiver money. You're not giving him the ball. And I'm not saying Cole Beasley was right, but if Cole Beasley did hit it on the money, that management does get to say who gets the ball, and if that was proven at the end of the year, like, hey, Mike McCarthy, No, I really like Pollard. I really love Pollard out there, but I have Zeke on contract right here, and I need him to get that ball. All right, I don't care that Pollard's playing exception. No. I'm paying him. All right, you get him that ball. And I just feel like Stephen Jones has that. If he has that type of power, and Cole Beasley was hitting it, man, it's gonna be tough being a Cowboys fan for so many years, Sky, because we all know about Jerry, but we still haven't seen what Steven is capable of running a team or not. And that's what scares me. So I'll leave with that rant with it. And my last thing is with the draft is, man, Jordan Davis is not falling to 24, Sky. I'm sorry, man.
Nah,
that dude is a beast. He is a beast, man.
Yeah, he's
but
not.
I will say this. Yeah, but I will say this, though. If I were to go in this draft, right, yes, we're talking about offensive tackles and offensive guards, but in my opinion, if I were to build a team, I would rather sign offensive linemen that are solid because, rookies tend to, still learn the playbook. They might hold. They're still getting their blocking schemes right? But I feel like with a veteran on offensive line, that can really help us. And all we're needing is a guard or a center, in all honesty. Because I feel like Tyron Smith, I'll say he has like 1 more year, 2 more years. I'll say that. But we all know he's going to miss some games. Let's get that out there. But if I were to attack it this draft, I would attack it defensively and keep getting Micah Parsons some pieces so we can excel defensively. Because offensively, they ain't looking too bright, Sky. And I'll leave you with that.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Peace.
That's right. You see it right there. Dalton Schultz has been tagged. That is the news of the day. We're still taking it in, Cowboys Nation. We're still taking it in. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's see if he's going to be featured as we move forward here, man. Set it off, Chris. What's up, good brother?
What's up, man? How you doing, man?
I could already tell you in your bag with this one.
Dude, I'm gonna age myself, man.
Okay.
They got this old Disney movie called The Apple Dumpling Game.
Okay.
Right? And this is what I see this front office doing. You walk into a season of free agency where you only have to tweak a couple pieces and you blow the entire thing up. And you look around as if nobody should question you on this. In no life, in no world, is Dalton Schultz, Kittles, Kelsey, Pitts. He's not one of these guys that you have to sit up.
Yeah, those are guys you're going to game plan for, and you're going to feature in your offense.
Right. This is a complimentary piece, man. I remember Bud said a couple years back, that Zeke was turning into the best complimentary piece in football because of all the outside weapons and things of that nature. But you hit the nail on the head. In years back, when you could have cut a guy who was not bringing anything to the table, when Jason Witten came back, when Jason Witten turned around and he came back a second time, you brought him back. Tyron Crawford was at the end of his deal, and you brought him back. Yeah, you brought back so many guys, man, who could have been cut, man, and you never cut them. You just kept them around. So you play hardball with a guy who you should have paid. You should have paid earlier. Every guy that you should have paid earlier, you tried to be Billy Badass, and now you sitting here.
You're trying to get rid of them.
Every last one of them. Yeah, you try to get rid of them.
Except
I understand not paying.
Except
Zeke. Right. You should have never paid him early. You should have made him walk himself in the camp. You pulled up that T-shirt. You got off into that, and all of us have done it. Everybody knows it. You've had that crazy girlfriend that you knew you shouldn't have been with, but you couldn't leave her alone. He did that on his own. And all that came to bite him in his ass. But so it shouldn't have come back to you say, hey, well, since he ended up getting his guaranteed money snatched because he got suspended, we're going to make up for that. Damn that. That's your fault.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
Yeah,
so now because you made that, go ahead.
No. I was going to just add on to it. I mean, because you just brought up something I wasn't even thinking about. I mean, they could have extended Amari Cooper right away. They waited and they got bit. They could have extended DeMarcus Lawrence. They tagged him twice. They could have extended the Dak Prescott. They didn't. They did decide to extend Jalen Smith, and they cut him. Amari Cooper is about to get cut. DeMarcus Lawrence is about to get cut. Zeke, we'll see what happens with Zeke. And right now they're scapegoating Dak's contract as some weird reason why they can't sign other players. So it is very interesting when you think about it. Same thing, Tyron Crawford. They told him, hey, yo, we need you to take a pay cut or we're going to cut you. Dez Bryant, cut. A lot of the players they extend, if I'm a Dallas Cowboy player and I get extended, I start looking at the clock because my time's ticking. No matter really how you perform, in my opinion.
I mean, but it's even to the point, not even about your performance. It just doesn't even make any sense that you're 12-5. You were 12-5 and a left guard shy of being able to compete and beat. At 12-5, having a damn scheme and a left guard away from being in the AFC Championship. Let's just get into the skinny. Your left guard was weak. Your center was in his real first full year.
Suspect
and your
game
scheme was
too.
ass. Yeah, your scheme was ass. And then you turn around and you bring a guy who is not known for blocking. You're gonna turn around and bring him back when there were viable options. I was all over the O.J. Howard, 2-year O.J. Howard all day long. Let's go get him, draft a kid, and handle what you got to handle. So now you're going to turn around and take a defensive piece and then make him a defensive end. Hey, God dang, man, you know the meme when Jim Terry is pulling his hair out? Yeah. That's where I'm at right now, bro. When that news came out, that's exactly what I said, man.
Liar,
liar, man. And that's what Steven is. Like, Steven is a liar, because he gonna lie to you that he about winning, and he not. He about pinching pennies. And man, let me get out the way, man. I'm gonna continue to listen, man. Oh, this is frustrating.
I know, bro. I know.
Aggravating beyond man's, bro. Man, great show as always, man. Hit the like button if you ain't already hit it if you in here, man. Because this is how it moves it up the algorithm, and it deserves that.
Thank you.
Peace and blessings to you, bro. We'll talk later, man.
Thank you, fam. Appreciate you, Chris. One of my favorite movies, man. Liar, liar. You're right. This pen is Rio Blue. That's my movie, man. That's my movie. Yeah, Catboy gonna get you, man. He gonna get you. He's gonna tell you, Cowboys Nation, well, we gotta be careful here. Let's franchise tag it. Let's wait an extra year. We'll sign them to the long-term deal, and then in 2-3 years, we're going to complain about that deal. Not even 3 years, 2 years, and get out of it. There's nothing wrong with clauses in those things to get out of. Like, there's nothing wrong with the way they structured Cooper's deal, right? But there's meat and potatoes in between all of that. There's context in between it. There's context in between these deals, man. Who we have up here, man? All right, I'm gonna close these lines because we'll be here all day. Real quick though, before I do that, there's a couple donations I missed. I want to get to. My apologies. Pretty much a reaction show at this point.
Super chat.
B Bird. What was B Bird earlier? All right. Tom Downey earlier says, so we're just going to keep making the excuses with the mistakes. I'm sorry, making the same mistakes as Tom Downey.
Super chat.
Isaiah says, appreciate the donation, $2 donation. He says, do we save money if we cut Jarwin? So, yes, but not as much as if he was healthy. So, the Cowboys will not be getting back a ton of cap from Jarwin. It's a little bit. They got to pay him some money from the injury clause.
Super chat.
B Bird with the $2 donation. Appreciate you. He says, we just signed the 11th ranked player on our offense. Oh, y'all deep.
Super chat.
Tom Downey again with the $2 donation. Jerry Steven, what the F are you doing? And then
super chat.
Marcus Flores, appreciate you with the $2 donation. Dak, Lamb, Gallup, Wilson, Schultz, Pollard, Zeke, the 2022 O. Yeah, when you look at it from a distance, I don't necessarily think it's going to be a bad offense. Like, it shouldn't be, you know. I still think the main culprit here is schematically, what are we doing? It's more so about, are we allocating intelligently the resources? Are we doing that right? I don't know. I'm conflicted because I do like Michael Gallup. I do like Said if he's brought back. I like Schultz, but I'm kind of looking to get better. And I told y'all I'm all about accumulating the most talent as possible because I don't know that I trust my coaching staff to get into the playoffs and out coach a team. I don't know that I do know I don't trust my front office to go out and add more talent in free agency on a mid-term basis or long-term basis. So you could be right back here the next year if you're going to sign these one-year deals and somebody hits, which that only has happened a few times. We showed you guys the 27 or so free agents and maybe 2 or 3 of them hit on the short-term deals, the one-year deals. So I'm about collecting as much talent as possible, and you could have kept the talent that you have and added more and try to out-talent people in the playoffs. I'll be real interested to see how they scheme this up with no Amari Cooper. Do teams are they going to respect Lamb in that same way? How are they going to use Lamb? Because Coop was a route runner. He routes you up real well. I think Lamb could have been a Michael Gallup type downfield. They just never used him like that. Could be a guy that can get busy after the catch. They just never really used him in that manner this year. It'd be interesting. I have no idea how they're going to do it long term without Amari Cooper moving forward. Now, a miracle could happen. He could come back. Right? It hasn't happened just quite yet. Maybe something changes. But from everything that we're hearing, there will be no Coop. There will be no DeMarcus Lawrence. Today, March 8th, 2022. They got to the 20th to decide on Amari Cooper. What's up, Rick?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Cowboy Nation? Sky, what's up? Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Sky's the best. My thing is like this, bruh. Hello?
Yep, I got you, bro.
Yeah, my thing is like this, man. I just woke up, man. Sorry, y'all, but I had to jump straight in. My thing is like this, bro. Are we surprised that the Cowboys are making these type of moves, and they know they've been raising our blood pressure for 20-something years, bruh. So it's like, why should we be surprised, man? They're not trying to win nothing, bruh. They're trying to make it look good, make themselves feel good by trying to make it look good. It ain't about how we feel at the end of the day, because they know they're not doing the things. They're not putting everything in position to win all the way. They putting the halfway things in position. The thinking is going to win. It's a difference. My whole thing is Dalton Schultz. He's one of the good old boys, so they're gonna sign him. You could tell by how Steven was talking about him. You know, my whole thing is all these receivers and people that they just cut out of nowhere because they don't want to follow their program. Everybody's not wrong. You know, people want to get paid. You know, and you know, I know we don't have. You know, sometimes these dudes, Amari Cooper can't throw the ball to himself. Dak Prescott has to give him the ball if he's going to be productive. Mm-hmm. And he's not a bad receiver, and he's going to go somewhere and eat, and we're going to be looking like, damn, why we didn't do that with Amari Cooper? He's going to go somewhere where he can contend for something, and we're going to see a whole different Amari Cooper, and all these people slander him. Go ahead.
I tell you, Rick, for me, they would have had to tell me, hey, QB1, stop throwing a damn ball to him. Like, spread it out. They would have had to tell me that. They would have had to come to me and say, brother, you can't be targeting Amari Cooper 15 times a game. They would have had to drag me over here and say, don't do it. Because that's what I would have done. I would have squeezed every little bit of the $20 million if people are looking at that, or every bit of the talent out of him. Instead, they just kind of treated him like, he's just part of this. You know, he's not our guy. He's not our feature guy. He's just part of this thing. And again, I said this before. You knew what you were going to be doing when you signed him. You had the same exact offensive coordinator. The same exact one. So if your system was always going to be based on, a concept and not the player, then I would never allocate that much money to the position, ever. So, it's just silly to me. But you know what? They probably felt like they had to do it because they've spent that first round pick on him. So.
Yeah, but at the same time, too, those guys, it's like, come on, man, like, you dudes act like they so damn smart. They don't even have a damn kick returner on the damn team. A real special team person receiving the ball
disrespect
on
Tony
the punch
Pollard,
or the kickoff.
Tony Pollard get busy back there in that kick return now.
Yeah, he get busy, but I need Tony Pollard in the backfield more than I need him out there.
That's
true. You know what I mean? You need a specialist out there. You know what I'm saying? You need a speed guy out there that, you know, he might break one on you. You know what I mean? And Tony Pollard, he's a damn good return guy, but we don't have no true kickoff. Besides Tony Pollard, anybody after, I'm thinking like this, behind him, do we have another one?
That's the least.
Do we have at least two speed guys?
Rick, I ain't worried about the kickoff returner, Rick. I'm gonna be honest with you. If there was a returner position that you want to talk about, it'd be punt returner. It ain't really a punt return.
Yeah, that's what I really mean, though.
Ain't really a situation, man. But hey, Rick, let me get to.
That's what I'm saying. We don't have other. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I gotta get to this last caller, man, so I can get up out of here, brother.
All right, man. But yes, Cowboy Nation, man, don't be shocked at anything that Stephen Jones out here doing. The Jones family, they do what they want to do because they can do it. They the Jones family. They own the team, so we gotta roll with it, I guess. Yeah. All right, peace.
All right, bro. Let's get to the final caller of the morning. 561. What it is? What it do?
Yo, Skywalker Steel, what's happening, man? It's Jake the Great.
Jake the Great. What's up, Jake?
Man, not much, man. It's been the most depressing off season in Cowboy history, man.
Oh, God.
I just can't understand it, man.
Not yet. Not yet.
No, it has to be. Because I'm with what the last caller said, we were 12-5. We're supposed to go into this offseason to retool. You know what I'm saying? Just to get better. But now they just want to dismantle the team like we were 6-10. I blame Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, but I blame the fan base too, man, because we are the sorry fan base. We've been bashing people for years. And, like, people be worried about the money. Amari Cooper took a pay cut to come back to Dallas. He would have been making $10 million more playing for the Washington Commandos or whatever they call them. You know? And it's just so disrespectful that we, like what Law was saying, how we bash a person, talking about he gives up on routes. You don't throw him the ball. You have a sorry game plan. It's like Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones are looking for the scapegoats. No one saying nothing about Kellen Moore. Mike McCarthy not preparing the team. But we're all looking at, DeMarcus Lawrence, your money's too much, you're the problem.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper, you're the problem.
Dak Prescott, you're the problem. Yeah, it's falling on all these top players, in my opinion, which again, they can't escape criticism. They're not beyond reproach, right? They have to be criticized as well. But when I hear people say, man, we got a problem, we're never going to win with Dak, we're never going to win with Cooper, we're never going to win with DeMarcus, we're never going to, all these other things, I say to you, well, when the hell have we won without them? Why are we making this seem like this is, this 26-year stretch is the fault of a top 10 quarterback, a top defensive end, and a top wide receiver? That's silly to me. There is a common denominator, but, we want to talk about some of these top players.
The common denominator is we have a sorry game plan. And my main thing is what the Cowboys are trying to do right now. It looks like they're trying to set it up to overwork Michael Parsons. Because you're like, hey, this guy can rush the pass. He's a linebacker. We don't need a DeMarcus Ware. So now we're going to put all the defense on Michael Parsons like we did Sean Lee. And if, God forbid, something happens to Michael Parsons, we're ass again. And it's just so dumb.
Don't put that
it's
negative
like we failed to get to 12-5 just to mess it all up, man. It's just so frustrating, man.
Yeah, I think it'd be a mistake. If they do move Micah down, I think then you have to address that linebacking room aggressively. Like that goes. I just showed you my top 5. The reason why I didn't list a linebacker is because I feel so confident in getting one in day 2, round 2, round 3 that can come in and play right now with Micah and Jabril Cox. But it'd be hard pressed if you say, yo, we're going to get rid of D-Law. We're going to move Micah Parsons defense in. And we'll worry about the linebacking group as it goes. It's going to be hard-pressed to go into the draft and say, That's not number one on the list. You know, so I hope they leave Micah where he's at, use him situationally as a rusher, and he'll be hyper efficient because of it.
Man, and last thing before I let you go now,
Sure.
I hate the fact that, mark my words, whoever we get rid of, they're going to be in the Super Bowl too. Because all you Cowboy fans that talk that junk about Cheeto Awuzie, you see how good he was once he got out of Dallas. You see him played in the Super Bowl and was like a top 10 cornerback. Y'all keep talking that junk about D-Law. Watch him be in the next Super Bowl after we get rid of him. That's all I got to say, Scott.
I appreciate you, Jake the Great.
All right, take it easy.
All right, man. I tell you what, I was looking at this the other day. Players that have at least went on to have really good careers after the Dallas Cowboys, or won the Super Bowl. I mean, we can talk about just strictly Super Bowl winners. A lot of them have been on the Chiefs of late. Damian Wilson, Mo Claiborne got a ring, believe it or not. Anthony Hitchens, Chris Canty, the Giants, DeMarcus Ware, right? Cheeto just played in the Super Bowl. We're talking about, hell, even Cole Beasley went on to play an AFC Championship game and haven't had success with Buffalo. Somebody on Twitter was like, this is the farm system for the NFL. Maybe hyperbole, but when you actually go look, a lot of the players the Cowboys eventually move on from, they go on to have good careers. Or Martellus Bennett is another guy, won a Super Bowl, Pro Bowler after he left. So, you know, that is something that happens in Dallas. Again, that's kind of bad luck too. But some of those dudes, you weren't going to re-sign. But I just find it very interesting how that happens with Dallas. Like, you can get a dozen players in a 10-year period that go on to win Super Bowls or have success, but it just didn't happen here. With teams like the Broncos been pretty good. With teams like the Chiefs, who hadn't won a Super Bowl in forever, the Bills, who was routinely never going to the playoffs or winning, the Bengals. I mean, come on. It's kind of crazy when you look at it. It's kind of crazy. But all right, Cowboys Nation, I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. I'm going to get back into the chat real quick. But once again, the big news of today ain't got nothing to do with my 5 first-round options. Is with this guy here, Dalton Schultz. He has been tagged. I guess we could dive in more on it here throughout the week. I'll try to bring somebody on from the Cowboys perspective to talk about it. I'll say this. They'll definitely look to extend him. Look for like a 5-year deal to limit that cap hit this year, and maybe try to use that to bring back a Jaron Kearse, Randy Gregory, and then don't expect fireworks in free agency, which never do with this team, but look more for the 1-year deals, right? And hope to hit. I would have definitely loved to use this $11 million that they're allocating right now to Dalton Schultz to go get an actual real-life playmaker, top-tier guy. I'd take a chance on it, but the Cowboys are not. So here we are. D-Block 88 said, bad luck don't strike 8 times. Come on, Sky. Hey, listen. I agree with you. Yeah. There's just something about it. Brian said even Taco went to the Super Bowl. Yeah, you know. That's why I said some of it is kind of luck based, right? A lot of these guys don't go on to be amazing. Taco going shit. But he was on a team that went to the Super Bowl. But Hitchens and the Beasleys and the Cheetos and the Cantys, these guys, you know, were difference makers. They made a difference in their team's runs. So DeMarcus Ware, you know, Martellus Bennett, these guys went on to have success. And I'll say this about Marty B. He was just drafted a smidge too soon. I think if Marty B had been drafted a few years later, you could argue I'll replace him. I'll replace Witt because, Witt stayed in Dallas probably about 3 to 4 years too long. We're being honest. All right, man. Great show today, y'all. I shouldn't say I didn't expect the news because you had till 4 p.m. to get it done. And I think what the Cowboys are going to do now is try to create more cap space to fit Dalton Schultz tag underneath it. So more news will drop. Stay tuned later tonight. Mauricio Rodriguez will be on. He'll likely tackle this here and tackle whatever else drops out of the NFL. Check out A to Z Sports Dallas.com. we'll detail this specifically. I'll probably drop a article feature tomorrow, so you guys can check that out as well. But the website's doing great with the new writers and the editors, so make sure y'all check that thing out. And then tomorrow, I'll be back here tomorrow. We'll talk more ball. We'll probably talk more combine/draft talk, get into some free agency stuff if we can. It all depends on what happens here the rest of the day. The Cowboys might not have cap room to even participate in anything beyond minimum deals. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, man. Appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure on your way out, you hit that like button, share this thing, subscribe. This has been A to Z Sports Live, presented by Texas Family Fitness, Freeman Mazda /Hyundai, and Worth the Poor. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I will see you on Wednesday. We out here. Salute. Peace. Shout out to Professor O, the mod god.
I want me some glory hole.